أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الميامين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين، مهدي هذه الأمة صلوات الله تعالى عليه، وعجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل مخرجه، وكتبنا وجعلنا من خير أنصاره وأعوانه ومن مقوية سلطانه بحرمة محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك المعصومين، لا سيما من كان للرسول ولدا، المذبوح من القفا، مولانا ومولى الكونين، أبا عبد الله الحسين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Dear brothers and sisters, there's a narration narrated in the book of Al-Amali by a Sheikh al-Saduq on the authority of Ibn Abbas, on the authentic chain of Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas narrates that once a time Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi ta'ala alayh, Imam Ali asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and he said, O Rasulullah, do you love my brother Aqil? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, by Allah, I do. I love Aqil. Now Aqil is the son of Abu Talib, right? Aqil is the brother of Imam Ali. Muslim is the son of Aqil. Okay? So the Imam is trying to know if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam loves Aqil, right? The Prophet responds, by Allah, I do. And I have two types of love towards him. The first one is me directly loving Aqil. And the second one is I love Aqil because his father Abu Talib loves him. And thus my second love for Aqil is that from the love of Abu Talib to his son. Dear brothers and sisters, Aqil is one of these individuals that is extremely oppressed in our majalis. We don't talk much about Aqil. But those that really read history and scrutinize, investigate, would come to the conclusion that Aqil, as we spoke yesterday, he wasn't in Karbala, but he was amongst those that shaped what happened in Karbala. Aqil has few qualities that are specific to him, really specific to him. Number one, Aqil sacrificed 6 of his kids first one being Muslim ibn Aqil, and 5 others, some say 4 others, of his kids who were known for Iman, Taqwa, piety, and bravery as well. That's the first one. The second trait of Aqil alayhi salam, and the second quality, Aqil, as we spoke yesterday, he was the person to find a wife for Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, which was Ummul Baneen. This was established through Aqil. Amirul Mu'mineen came to Aqil and told him, I want a wife born from a family known for its bravery. That was done through Aqil, right? So, without Aqil alayhi salam and what he did, where's Abbas? So this effort of Abbas alayhi salam in Karbala and Baneen, it's thanks to Aqil. Because if it wasn't for Aqil, this would have not happened. That's number 2. Number 3, and this is going down for some reason. Number 3, Aqil married a woman named, some narrations say Aliyah, some say Ulayya. Now she was a servant before, right? And back then servants maybe cost 50 dirham, approximately 50, not more than that, right? Now the Ahl Bayt alayhim salam used to purchase them and let them free for the sake of Allah, right? Now Banu Hashim, the tribe of Bani Hashim, what they also did is they used to marry these women who are respected, right, to give them that rank, because then they benefit not only being free, but then she's the wife of a man who's socially, right, in a good position. So Aqil entered upon a certain individual in history, which I don't want to mention his name, and told him, I want this woman, right? And she costs 40,000 dirham. So she said, if you want to marry me, pay me 40,000 dirham. Now, back at that time, it's 50 dirham, right? It's like, for example, now, someone says, well, if you want to marry me, yes, no problem, but it's going to cost you $500,000 for the mahr, for example, right? Not many people would pay that or invest that, except if that woman is something special, right? In Iman and Taqwa and piety, right? Now, why did Aqil insist? Now later that woman, that servant, is known to be the mother of Muslim, right? If we connect these dots, what he did by finding Baneen, finding this lady, this woman who brought Muslim, right? We come to the conclusion that Aqil was basically preparing the conditions for Karbala. We were preparing the men. And thus, we must thank Aqil for the likes of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and his son Muslim. Because if it wasn't for them two, history would have been different. Right? Now, some might say, well, here's a question. Aqil was not an imam or a prophet. He didn't know the unknown. So, how are you saying that he prepared everything ahead of time? How did he know? He's not an imam. On what basis are you saying that he went ahead and found Baneen specifically to have Abbas, to bring this lady Aliyah and invest money and marry her to have Aqil specifically? On what basis? On this basis, right? On the same narration, and for me to be as precise as possible when I give this narration, right? The same narration when Imam Ali asked the Prophet, do you love my brother Aqil? And the Prophet says, yes, by Allah, I love him with two loves, a love for himself and a love because of Abu Talib loves him. He continues and says, and indeed, that's the Prophet saying, that's years and years before Muslim came to be. And indeed, one of his children, the Prophet is telling Imam Ali, the commander of the faithful, he's telling him, one of the children of Aqil, your brother, whom I love and Abu Talib loves, will be killed out of love for your son, Ya Ali. The eyes of the believers will weep over him. This is a sign here, brothers and sisters, that those that weep and cry for Muslim ibn Aqil, these are the tears of the believers, of the mu'mineen, not the Muslimin. The mu'mineen, there's a khususiyah here. This is precise and specific. This is not inclusive. This is, you will get the rank of the mu'min, not the Muslim, which is higher. Right? The eyes of the believers will weep over him, and the angels who are near to the throne of Allah, who revolve around the throne of Allah, will pray over him, over the person that weeps. So the way Aqil ibn Abi Talib knew, right, is because he heard from the Prophet, and then he heard from his brother Imam Ali, and then from Al-Hasan, right? And then what happened in Karbala? He worked to establish as much as he can so that when it's time for Karbala, there's as many as possible, as many men in the tribe of Banu Hashim that can stand and support the cause of Imam Al-Hussein salawatullahi ta'ala. So thus, I'm a big believer that we as Shia must be extremely thankful to Aqil, for if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be the likes of Muslim. Now some might say, talk to us about Muslim and what he did and his ranks and his establishments. Muslim, if I don't want to compliment Muslim or speak about Muslim and his ranks, I can only say these few words. Is that Imam al-Hussein said, I'm sending to you my brother. He said, Imam Hussein, in a letter to the people of Kufa, I'm sending upon you or to you my brother, my cousin, and the trusted one amongst my household. Now, if these words were said by me, by the likes of me, I'm an ordinary person. I make mistakes, I can exaggerate, but when these words are dictated by the Imam, he truly means every single word, every single letter of that word. And those, inshallah, from my brothers and sisters who hold that spirituality, and that maqam, and that ma'rifah, and that knowledge of the Ahlul Bayt and their ranks, know that when Imam al-Hussein says, and the trustworthy individual amongst my household, he's saying indirectly that this person represents me in his actions, in his words, in his conduct. And that's why some scholars say during that period we can say that Muslim was infallible, not from Allah's infallibility like the Imam, right? But infallible in terms of taqwa. When you practice piety, right, and you're on the path of Imam al-Hussein and you stay away from sins, you can be infallible. You can have a form of infallibility. Now, Muslim ibn Aqil, dear sisters, and let me read the whole letter that Imam al-Hussein sent with Muslim and told Muslim to read to the city, to the people of the city of Kufa. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam wrote the following. He wrote, "In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. From Al-Hussein ibn Ali to the assembly of the believers and the Muslims in Kufa. Hani and Sa'id, these are two men who came to Imam al-Hussein and told him, these are letters, invitations from the people of Kufa. Please come, please proceed. The Imam is saying, Hani and Sa'id have arrived to me just now, bearing your letters, O people of Kufa. And they were the last of your messengers to reach me. Because as we know, there's 18,000 letters that reached the Imam. These were the last two, from Hani and Sa'id. I have understood all that you recounted and mentioned. The statement of the majority of you is the following. We have no Imam. So come to us. Perhaps Allah will unite us with you upon truth and guidance. So the Imam then proceeds by saying, I am sending to you my brother, my cousin, and the trusted one from my family, Muslim ibn Aqil. If he writes back to me that the opinion of your prominent ones and those of wisdom and virtue is in accordance to what your letters have conveyed initially, then I shall come to you soon, God willing. By my life, the Imam is saying this at the very end. This is like a signature. By my life, the Imam is none but the one who rules by the book of Allah. This is Muslim. And if I want to stand and go deeply in this hadith, I need a very long time, because there's a reason why he said my brother, then my cousin. There's a reason. Because Muslim is the cousin of the Imam, not the brother. He's his cousin. But there's a reason why he said brother before cousin. And there's a reason why he concluded all that with saying the trustworthy amongst my household. Time is running. I gotta make this quick. Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil, a lot of the ulama say he ranks just like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas because of his virtues and morals and ethics, in addition to his beliefs and spirituality. And this manifests in several ways. I'll mention only two for today. The first one, Muslim ibn Aqil, when he was in Kufa, first he went to the house of Al-Mukhtar. Okay? And then at the very end, he was at the house of Hani ibn Urwa. Right? Hani was a respected man, revered man, and the head of the tribe of Banu Midhij. He was the head of that tribe, Hani. And he was alongside Imam al-Hussein and Muslim ibn Aqil. Now, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the governor, the mayor of Yazid on Kufa, right? Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad invited the heads and the leaders of all tribes to attend on his table, right? They all attended except for Hani, because Muslim was in his home. He didn't want to leave Muslim. So he told Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad via letter that I'm sick, I'm not able to come. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad felt suspicious. Why didn't Hani come? If he was sick prior to now, we would have known. So what did he do? He said, I will go ahead and visit Hani. just to double check if everything is real. Now, one Muslim, Ibn Aqil, heard that, and Hana, right, they agreed on a thing where Ubaidullah bin Ziyad enters the house of Hana. Muslim Ibn Aqil is to hide, and the moment he has the opportunity, he can strike and kill Ubaidullah bin Ziyad. Dear sisters and brothers, killing Ubaidullah bin Ziyad is like killing the head of a regime. That's it. The whole mission of the enemies will end. That's it. Right? Ubaidullah bin Ziyad entered the house of Hana. He sat, he talked, he finished. Hana is waiting. When is Muslim gonna attack? When is Muslim gonna attack? He didn't. And then Ubaidullah bin Ziyad finished, and then he left. Hana told Muslim, why didn't you attack? Muslim said, I cannot establish this law of killing this individual before he commits the crime. He still didn't do anything. Yes, he's against us, but I cannot base things based on that. Right? If you ask any individual, if you ask logic, if you ask like yourself and your brain, if you ask a child, what would you do in that case? They would say, well, just get rid of him. Right? Open that path for the Imam. The Imam would have not been killed. And that's true. But principles go first. He did it for two reasons. Reason number one, he didn't want this sacred mission that would last for years and years and years to have any room for criticism. If Muslim ibn Aqil would have struck Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, people up until now would say, see, look at Muslim. He unjustly killed this person, Ubaidullah bin Ziyad. Right? And they would find a way to belittle this great and honorable movement of the Imam. And again, Muslim is in a position of authority now. Right? Muslim is the representative of the Imam in Kufa. And the second reason why he didn't strike is because he didn't want to intervene with the mission and with the will of Allah Ta'ala. In the heavens, it's well established and well known, that's it. خِيرَ لِي مَصْرَعٌ أَنَا لَاقِيهِ. Allah Ta'ala has chose the place for where I will be martyred. That's it. It's chosen. That law has been established and sealed. That will has been established and sealed. That's it. So that's the first quality. The second, Muslim ibn Aqil, he was extremely thirsty. For days he didn't have the opportunity to drink water because everyone, after they left him, he was alone. Every house he would knock, they don't want to give him anything, because if they did and Ubaidullah bin Ziyad were to know, there's punishment. And the punishment of Ubaidullah bin Ziyad is something that's unbearable. Right? So Muslim alayhi salam was extremely thirsty. Narrations dictate that when he was caught, right, and he was presented in front of Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, he told them, I'm thirsty. Right? Now, keep in mind here, dear brothers and sisters, when we come to the Ahlul Bayt and Banu Hashim and we read history, we have to read it in a different way. Because not everything that's presented is like we understand. And that's why we have in the ahadith, the Imam knows this grape has poison, this food has poison, this water has poison. He drinks it because he submits to the will of God. He knows, but he acts upon the will of Allah. That's it. Allah wants that, I want it. Even if it means death. Right? So Muslim knows, because of these stories he's heard, that Imam al-Hussein will die thirsty. But he's doing this so that he can expose the enemies. He told them, I'm thirsty. They brought a bowl of water. Now, his face, his lips were gushing blood. He was injured just above his lips. And when he came to drink water, some narrations say his lip fell in the bowl. Part of his lip. And say some, in addition to that, his teeth fell. So he gave it back to them and said, I can't drink it. So they brought another one. Right? He again tried to drink. Blood came out into the water. He wasn't able to drink. He said, لو كان من الرزق المقسوم لشربته. If Allah Ta'ala would have willed that I would drink it, I would have. But it's not part of the will of Allah. So that second quality that Muslim ibn Aqil has is he also died thirsty. Days and days and days before the Imam. Right? And the people of knowledge know that if you share a certain quality with someone like the Imam, your rank, a person like me cannot dictate it. Even some of the ulama say we cannot dictate and say what is the rank of Muslim and Al-Abbas and so on and so forth. Now, when they presented Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam in front of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad said, listen, Muslim, you will be killed either ways. And I will kill you in a way, in the most painful of ways. No doubt about that. Muslim said, okay, I don't fear death, but I have a will. I have a few words to dictate. He said, no problem, right? Muslim looked around, they're all enemies. In the courtyard of the palace of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, who can he give this will to, right? Now, some historians say there's a relationship between Umar ibn Sa'ad and Muslim ibn Aqil. Me personally, I don't know what's that like, that relationship. Like, is he his cousin? I don't know, right? We have to check, but historians do dictate that, right? So Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad told him, said, Umar, go listen to his will and keep it a secret between you guys. That's a lie, by the way. Right? Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad wants to know the will so that he can gain that information, right? Muslim ibn Aqil told him, Oh Umar, I have a few things to mention to you. They went on a side. He said, A, I have a debt of 700 dirham, which I had to take out and borrow when I entered Kufa. This is my shield, sell it and pay it off. Number 2, write a message to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam telling him, Oh Aba Abdullah, return from where you came from. Now there's a will I forgot to mention. His first will was really unique. I really forgot to mention that. His first will, he told Umar to write down the following. He said, first of all, I bear witness that there's no God but Allah, no Prophet but Muhammad, and no Imam but Ali. This was his first will. His second will was to sell the shield and pay off the debt. The third was to inform the Imam. The fourth was to, he told him that the enemies have no mercy and don't respect the sanctity of any individual. So when they throw my body, take my body and bury it. What did Umar ibn Sa'd respond? He told him, ask for the first will. When he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah, we testify that as well. And this, dear brothers and sisters, can be used against anyone who says, well, where was the word Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah used? Umar ibn Sa'd, the head of the enemy, said, we testify, we agree that something like that exists. But practically we don't agree, right? By the tongue we do. He told him, ask for the second will for us to sell the shield and pay off the debt. That's up to us. If we want to do it, we'll do it. These people are, animals are way better than these people, honestly. Animals would never do that. I told him, it's up to me. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't, then excuse me, I won't do it for you. The third one, writing the message to Abu Abdullah, I will definitely not do that, because we want to have him killed, or he submits to the will of Yazid, pledges allegiance to Yazid. And the fourth will, he told him to bury my body. Narrations say that the body of Muslim ibn Aqil was kept exposed, and they hung the head of Muslim at the front of the governor's palace, just like the head itself, for days and days and days. Dear brothers and sisters, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam received messages from the people of Kufa telling him, oh, we don't have any Imam, approach us, oh Aba Abdullah. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam has history with these people. They abandoned his father, Amir al-Mu'mineen. They abandoned his brother al-Hassan, so he wanted to really test them, like test that readiness of these people. So he told Muslim ibn Aqil, Muslim, go on your way to Kufa and check how things are. If things are good, if things are to our favor, if people are really serious, write back to me, oh Muslim. Muslim ibn Aqil, he entered the city of Kufa. People welcomed him. They all gathered under the banner of Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim then wrote that message, which he later regretted. O Aba Abdullah, from Muslim ibn Aqil to Imam al-Hussein, approach us, O Hussein, for our hands and hearts are with you. From 30,000 being with him to him being alone, walking in the alleys of the city of Kufa, looking right and left. No one is there to support Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam. The next day, they caught Muslim. Muslim did not submit himself. He started fighting and defending and fighting like a true warrior and a brave warrior. The enemies noticed that they cannot beat Muslim ibn Aqil and take him down. What did they do? They dug a trench and ambushed Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam. When they caught him, they took him to the governor's palace, to the mansion of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad told them, take him to the rooftop of the palace and execute him. When he was taken to the rooftop, he told them, just give me a minute. What do you want to do, O Muslim? Muslim ibn Aqil took a few steps and faced the direction of Imam al-Hussein and said, alayka minni salam, ya Aba Abdullah. Oh Aba Abdullah, return from where you came, for these people have called us and now they turned around and they want to kill us. And while he was saying these words, they severed the head of Muslim ibn Aqil and threw his body from the rooftop all the way to the ground of the palace. رحم الله من نادى ومسلما وسيدا. This is one thing that pains our hearts, dear brothers and sisters. But on another occasion, there's something else that really pains our hearts. Two messengers headed toward Imam al-Hussein, told him what happened. When Imam al-Hussein received the news, the first thing that he did is he looked at the daughter of Muslim who was in the caravan of the Imam. She was little, 3, 4, 5. Her name was Hamida. He walked to her and said, Hamida, come here. He picked her up and he sat her on his own lap and he started patting on her head. Hamida looked over to the Imam and said, "Oh uncle, why are you doing that? Oh Hussein, did something happen to my father? Why are you treating me like you treat an orphan?" Imam al-Hussein responded, told her, "Oh Hamida, from now on, I am your father. I am your father." When we say, "Oh Aba Abdullah, you were there to comfort and to console the daughter of Muslim Hamida in her pain, no one was there to do the same for your daughter Ruqayya. Oh Aba Abdullah, رحم الله من نادى ومسلما وحسينا وسيدا." إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Oh Allah, we ask you by the cries and the blood of Hamida bint Muslim, peace and blessings be upon her, and تشافي كل مريض. Oh Allah, cure the mu'mineen who are sick, who have any health problems. Grant us the intercession of Imam al-Hussein and his household in the hereafter, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Preserve us amongst those that love the Ahlul Bayt, serve the Ahlul Bayt, think and act based on the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. Peace and blessings be upon him, be upon them all. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. Dear brothers and sisters, I would like to share an Islamic jurisprudential law, inshallah, with you, one or two. There's a question which I get asked often, is that there's something called these contact lenses, which are colored, blue and green and different colors. What is the ruling behind that? Is it haram to put those on, right? Based on the fatwa of Sayyid al-Sistani, may Allah prolong his life, he says if this is considered cosmetic, then in front of a non-mahram, there's a problem. A person who is a non-mahram cannot see that, right? Because again, it causes excitement. That's number one. Number two, pertaining to our brothers, a lot of the youth wear like a necklace, right? Something like around their hand or their neck, right? What is the ruling behind that? Anything is fine, but it cannot be gold. And it cannot be gold that's, they're smiling, they're happy. It cannot be gold that's silver and white as well, because there's gold that is silver, there's white, right? Any of that is forbidden, prohibited, right? It does invalidate everything that you do. So it's really important to keep an eye on stuff like that, right? Because gold presents itself in silver and white, right? So if you wear something like that, it's haram. So please be mindful of that and pay attention to that. One of the third laws, which I also wanted to mention, is regarding. So we live in America, right? So we're in universities, we're at schools, right? It's what are the rulings behind speaking to the opposite gender, conversing, right? Doing like a project, a test, an exam, anything, right? Based on the fatwa of the fuqaha, they say any practice, right, group work, anything that doesn't involve excitement, lust, speaking more than what you have to, right? Because sometimes you do something with one intention and then that takes you to doing something else, right? So maintaining that atmosphere, as in if someone were to see you, that person would say, yeah, of course, these are students studying, not chatting, exchanging, like for example, TikTok, Snapchat accounts, for example. That's a problem there, right? In my opinion, this is one of the biggest challenges, because sometimes we have pure intentions, right? We don't mean anything. We do everything in a way where, right, like we're grown people, mature people, but one thing leads to another, and then we find ourselves in a position where we can't go back, right? So being mindful of that is really, really important, right? Now, as for the Q&A, does anyone have any questions pertaining to the lecture, pertaining to Allah, pertaining to anything else? No one? صلى الله على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. يا الله.